Our recent thrashing versus Celtic reminded us that we are still a long way away from mastering Maresca's tactics. The question now is, just how far are we exactly from mastering the system? A performance versus Club America could pave the way for some answers to that question. It's pre-season, so we can't take every result, every performance we see too literally, but at the same time, we have to not equally take things for granted, because during this period that coaches get during pre-seasons, this is the time to instill your strategy, your system, your setup, your mentality, your philosophy, your tactics, without any interruptions during the season. We're watching top level players and they don't need 1 year to understand the basics of what Maresca expects. They just need some more time to master the basics at the moment, because those basics will cost us. And we came under scrutiny for our very high defensive high line that had no structure up front, which had an inconsistent press, which had poor relationships between the defense and the further forward players. A lot of times the attack were pressing and the defense never followed up. And equally, when the defense rested, the attack decided to press. So these are the foundational basics that Maresca wants to get right. And I'm sure he'll use this game against Club America tomorrow at 12:30 AM as an opportunity right now to show how far we've come in training since that defeat against Celtic. I don't think it's time to panic now. I think we still keep an open mind. We look to see how we perform against Club America. But after Club America, we have the heavy hitter games against Real Madrid, Man City, and then Inter Milan before we take on Man City on the opening day of the Premier League. So as I'm saying, we can't take everything we're seeing so literally during pre-season, but equally we must respect this time. We must use it wisely. We must take advantage of every single day and not waste the time we have now. So my friends, in today's preview, I'm here to discuss the big press conference, and I'm going to go through my predicted lineup for the game tomorrow. So hope you guys enjoy, share your thoughts and opinions. And very quickly, my friends, but if you still have not bought this season's home kit, the newly launched away kit, or the excellent training collection, my friends, what are you waiting for? I'm here to hook you up. If you want to help me and help the channel out, use my affiliate links, which you'll find in the card above, description below, and use Nini10 at checkout to get 10% off your final order. Hope you guys use that. And let's get back into things. We go straight into discussing Maresca's press conference. And of course, one of the main questions on the agenda today was the resolution on Enzo Fernandez. And here's what Maresca had to say in the press conference. He basically said that right now, the feeling in the squad is quite comfortable. The situation has been resolved, and Maresca reveals that we all had a conversation to clarify that there was no bad intentions, and the lads accepted that. Everyone's now laughing, and we are now smiling and moving on. He revealed that himself, Reece James, Sassi, and other players in the squad, including Wesley Fofana, had a meeting with Enzo, and Enzo accepted his mistake yet again. He's apologized 4-5 times now, and they all know that Enzo is a good guy, and they know Enzo longer than the manager, who still hasn't met him formally just yet. As he reveals, though, he doesn't know what plans the club have to actually punish Enzo with. As we know, he's set to be fined. He's also going to donate to a charity against discrimination and racism, and I'm sure he'll be educated even more as well too. So that's good to know that this has been resolved, and hopefully we see that in the performances from Enzo during pre-season. So let's move on from that. Some good news, but we've learned that Kiernan-Dewsbury Hall is set to have some involvement in tomorrow's game, and we have to remember that he was basically signed because the ownership felt like by signing someone like him, he would essentially kickstart Maresca's tactical setup. So let's see what Kiernan-Dewsbury Hall does. He's had a slight small knock. He has been doing his own individual training sessions, but he's back now. He seems to be integrated quite well in the squad. I've seen a lot of photos with him with Reece, Ben, and many others. So let's see what he brings for us tomorrow against Club America. Maresca was asked whether a win would give that confidence booster in the squad, and Maresca basically said, you always need to win. Winning tomorrow won't make us better versus Real Madrid or Man City, but right now we need to improve on and off the ball. That is the main focus here. He isn't lying. I agree with that. We're conceding a lot of goals due to the foundations not being set in stone, due to a lot of mistakes, misunderstandings, complications. I think more work is definitely needed, in my opinion, from the forward players to really help address some of the balance issues behind the scenes. But equally, I feel like the defenders need to be a bit more consistent when they're being aggressive, and I'll discuss that in my predicted lineup. But to move on with the final two questions, we had some interesting transferish type of remarks. We start with Conor Gallagher, and I guess it's no surprise that Conor would be mentioned today based on the fact that both Atletico and Spurs now are stepping up their interest to try and get something sorted. And Maresca essentially said that Conor will be back in Cobham in the next few days. He was kind of coy though in his remarks, and he said that with the window currently open right now, anything can happen, not only for Conor, but for all players. So I kind of perceive this as Maresca leaving the door open, wide open for Conor Gallagher. And one thing I keep saying and stressing a lot is that when you look at Maresca's work at Leicester last season, there's a reason why Ndidi was moved from DM all the way to playing further forward as that offensive 8. And that's because the press is needed. You need that for this balance, the structure. Otherwise, everything falls apart. And I can't imagine that Maresca would not be interested in having Gallagher in his squad when he's one of the most consistent, hard-working, best pressers in this entire league, and to lose out on that impact in your squad without having the natural replacement for him. Who knows what happens? We see if we get some big money for Conor, but if the offers don't satisfy us, we also think to keep him in the squad for another season and give him that short-term contract extension. Time will tell. But at the moment, for the final question, time ain't looking good for Ben Chilwell right now, because Maresca revealed that Ben's position is currently delicate in the team right now, and he's finding the right position for him in terms of balance in the team. There are some struggles when it comes to that particular area, and I think we all kind of knew that with Ben not naturally being the inverted option that you would turn towards, being more of a box-to-box type of player, what would be the long-term use for him in this system? We have seen Reece and Gusto playing as the inverted fullbacks, but once Palmer returns, I'd imagine that Maresca will turn to James and Gusto, providing the width down that right-hand side, which means that the left-backs now must be the inverted options. And when you have Vega, when you have Cucurella, when you have Levi Colwill, who's playing as a left-back right now, what is the long-term future for Ben? So let's see what happens. Time will tell. But I think right now, my friends, and with things, let's dissect and go through my predicted lineup for the game tomorrow. And for me, with our two big tests coming very soon against Real Madrid and Man City, I feel like this game naturally will be the perfect prep for those games. And I want to see some consistency now, because we're getting closer to the start of the Premier League in like literally 3 weeks time. We can't afford to waste 3 weeks. Time flies just like that. So I think we have to see some consistency in terms of who is starting in this team, and that will give us an indication behind what Maresca's thinking for the opening day lineups and who's important to his like core values and ideas, right? So based on that reasoning, here's the lineup I'm going for. And as you guys have seen, in goal, Robert Sanchez. In defense, Reece James, Fofana, Badiashile, and Levi Colwill. In midfield, I've gone for Nkunku, Kiernan-Dewsbury Hall as the 8s, with Lavia in the base, and up front I've gone for Madueke, Raheem Sterling on the left hand side, and Mark Gu up front. Now to start from back to front in defense, and I feel that Maresca will want to maintain using the same back line for consistency. I think it's time for these guys to build their communication, their understanding of what they have to do tactically. And I think if you're going to constantly like chop and change a defensive setup before like the big games, before the season opener, you could be wasting time, in my opinion. But to add to that, the details I want to see in the defense is more aggression. If you push up to follow your man in midfield, stick tight to him and follow him with the intention to win that ball back. If you're forced out wide, close the spaces down. Don't allow the crossing. Don't ball watch. You know what I mean? And most importantly, communication. Communicate. I don't feel like there's currently that leader that is like controlling the defense and telling these man where to be, what to do, when to move up, when to move back. And I always keep stressing this. Defense is more than just having nice individuals. It's about partnerships, understandings and relationships. And I want to see an improvement in the game against Club America. To move on to the midfield now, I do think Kiernan-Dewsbury Hall may start in the game. I do think that Carnes may be the option off the bench in the second half, because I think at the moment Kiernan-Dewsbury Hall may be more key to Maresca tactically, because he understands where he has to be on, but most importantly off the ball. And I do feel like, especially in that last game, Carnes struggled in that area at times. I'm sure he's still building a lot of fitness. He's still young. I'm not going to hold it against him, but sometimes his, like, you know, closing down angles, not, you know, blocking off the pass from the opposition, and just like the intensity in his pressing, it wasn't always there at times. And I'm really interested to see what improvements we see tactically by having Kiernan-Dewsbury Hall in that midfield. Now, I think Nkunku will maintain playing as the offensive 8. I think that's the best position for him. I do feel like Nkunku is one of these smart, intelligent players where he's very hard to predict what his next move is. And when he plays his game, he wants his teammates to be on his wavelength. Sometimes he's going to play that quick back heel pass that's going to like take out 1 or 2 man, then run in behind, and then he wants to be on the receiving end again. That's how he plays his game. So I do want to see more of that connection between him and Q, because I still think that Nkunku with Palmer is probably our best player in the squad. So that's what I want to see. I think Lavia so far is not really disappointing me. I think he's looked good. I think obviously working on the Maresca, he knows where he has to be, what he has to do, and the progression with this passing ain't that bad either. But I think up front, to end with things, the key thing I want to see is more intensity. Now, there's a reason why Poch kept enforcing running in this team. People clowned it for poor reasons, but the reason is that we need the intensity up front if we want to have a strong system. When we were using that 3-2-4-1 as the season ended, you saw the work that was coming from the left winger and the right winger. Are we seeing the same things? And I think at the moment, it's leaving any player who's playing as our fullbacks exposed to overloads. They're getting exposed based on 2v1s, 3v1s. You can be the best player in the world. If you're constantly up against that type of disadvantage, your quality is only going to take you so far. So I need to see the attack prove that. But in terms of what I'm seeing tactically, I'm seeing some interesting things. I am seeing how we're creating the overloads for our wide wingers to attack their men. We're seeing how the attack narrows, and by narrowing our attack, we're freeing our wide men isolated in those positions, and we cause a lot of threat in those areas. I want to see more improvement in that threat against Club America. So my friends, that is my preview for today. Share your thoughts and opinions. Hopefully you liked the video, so you can hit that like button, and don't forget to watch today's big news video on Osimhen and all the latest. So my friends, I'm Nini FC, this is BlueLionsTV. See you all soon. Cool.